Welcome to Sermon Updates Midweek, where I get an opportunity to talk about my sermon from this past Sunday, which was Count Your Blessings, the blessing of being a child of God. I think sometimes we as believers forget some of the most important stuff. God has blessed us with the ability to be his child. One of my points this past Sunday was that God blesses everyone across the board without impunity. The rain falls on the just and the unjust. God is the source of all blessings. But there's also a reality and a truth that God reserves some of those blessings for those of us who are his children. Forgiveness of sin is offered to everyone, but only received by those who are his children. Eternal life. Eternal life is reserved for his children, offered to everyone, but reserved to those who believe in his name. There's a blessing in being a child of God. Paula and I like to think that we are giving, compassionate people, and we try to help any number of people out. But the reality is that our willingness and our ability and our desire to help our son is different than it is for everybody else. Now, we've made sacrifices for other people, but when it comes to your child, it's a little bit differently. Now, the difficulty of this comment is that God is certainly different than we are. And while we're tribal and familial and want to take care of those who are ours, Jesus calls us to love our neighbor. He tells us to love God and love your neighbor. He challenges us to look beyond just our own little tribe, which is the point of my summit up today. Last week we talked about what God blessed us with and what we have as his children, but an important part of this entire discussion is what we, the children of God, do in relationship to everybody else. If there are special blessings for children of God, then our mission of helping people become children of God is incredibly important. I mean, think about it. If there are blessings that are reserved only for God's children, how do others get it unless they become his child? Sounds like Paul. How does somebody believe if somebody doesn't tell them the message? And how does somebody tell them the message if they're not sent? The Great Commission tells us plainly, those of us who are his children, those of us who are Christians, that we are sent into the world to take the good news. Now, that job, by and large, in today's world has been envisioned as the responsibility of the minister. It's something that really, really, really into it Christians do. And the bottom line, the simple fact is that we are all called, empowered, required to share the good news with the world. We're to be cities on a hill, a lamp put on a lampstand. We're called to help other people become children of God so that they might have those blessings. I've heard some say that Christianity is about just taking care of ourselves and make sure that we make it to heaven, but that's really not what Christianity is all about. Christianity is about us sharing the good news with the rest of the world, with those who do not know Jesus, so that they can become part of his family. So let me just ask you a simple question. When is the last time that you shared Jesus with somebody else? When's the last time that you broke out of your child of God pattern and actually shared the good news with somebody else? Oh, I know it's frightening. Oh, I know it's scary. Oh, I know it seems like there's so many Bible verses we have to know and so many answers we have to questions, but that's not really, in truth, the real issue. The real issue is, are you willing to share the Jesus that you know? I mean, have you ever thought about it? The first 3 centuries of the church, the Bible wasn't even put together yet. And even after the Bible was put together and even after it started being mass produced, it wasn't until this past century that many Christians had access to the Bible, to where they could actually have one, read one, keep one at home. But through all of those years, people still shared Jesus with other people. Now, I'm not telling you the Bible's not important, it's vastly important. But what I'm trying to point out is that we have plenty to share through what Jesus has done in our lives. Hey, maybe all we need to do is to share with other people how we became a child of God so they can too. And then help them learn the other stuff. That's our calling. Let other people know. Have a wonderful day. God bless.